Aphorism number 65. Examples of A are familiar to all. A hand bath in hot water is at first much warmer than the other that has not been so treated, primary action. But when it is withdrawn from the hot water and again thoroughly dried, it becomes in a short time cold and at length much colder than the other, secondary action. A person heated by violent exercise, primary action, is afterwards affected with chilliness and shivering, secondary action. To one who was yesterday heated by drinking much wine, primary action, today every breath of air feels too cold, counteraction of organism, secondary action. An arm that has been kept long in very cold water is at first much paler and colder, primary action, than the other, but removed from the cold water and dried, it subsequently becomes not only warmer than the other, but even hot, red and inflamed, secondary action, reaction of the vital force. Excessive vivacity follows the use of strong coffee, primary action, but sluggishness and drowsiness remains for a long time afterwards. Reaction, secondary action. If this be not always again removed for a short time by imbibing, receive fresh supplies of coffee palliative after the profound stupefied sleep caused by opium, primary action, the following night will be all the more sleepless. Reaction, secondary action. After the constipation produced by opium, primary action, diarrhea ensues, secondary action, and after purgative with medicines that irritate the bowels, constipation of several days duration ensues, secondary action. And in like manner, it always happens after the primary action of a medicine that produced in large doses a great change in the health of a healthy person, that its exact opposite, when as has been observed, there is actually such a thing is produced in the secondary action by our vital force. Explanation of aphorism number 65. In this aphorism, Dr. Hanimal has given the examples of bath. Here, so many examples of type A, secondary action, in which exact opposite action is produced to the effects of primary action. A hand bath in hot water is at first much warmer than the other hand which has not been so treated, that is primary action, but whenever it is withdrawn from the hot water and again thoroughly dried, it becomes cold in a short time, and after some time it will be much colder than the other hand. This is due to secondary action. A person heated by violent exercise, that is due to primary action, is afterwards affected with chilliness and shivering, that is due to secondary action. The person who was yesterday heated by drinking much wine, primary action, today every breath of air he feels too cold, that is counteraction or secondary action of organism or vital force. An arm that has been kept long in very cold water is at first becomes much paler and colder than the other, primary action. But when arm is removed from the cold water and dried, it subsequently becomes not only warmer than the other, but even hot, red, and inflamed due to secondary action, reaction of the vital force. Excessive vivacity follows the use of strong coffee is primary action, but sluggishness and drowsiness remain for a longer period of time afterwards due to secondary action. And if coffee is not removed in between for a short time, then it will act as palliative. After the profound stupefied sleep which was caused by opium is primary action, the following night will be all the more sleepless due to secondary action of vital force. If constipation produced by opium is the primary action, afterwards there will be diarrhea due to secondary action of vital force. If to remove constipation purgatives are given which irritates the bowels, it gives rise constipation of several days after that, and in like manner or same way it always happens after the primary action of medicine that produces a great change in the health of a healthy person in large doses, and it is observed that its exact opposite condition is produced in the secondary action by our vital force.